So, life in HVN continues. We're glad to be home, and although we had a superb time in the UK, there is something almost tangible about this house that we don't seem to be able to be without it for long. But what a few weeks we've had. Give me a moment or two to get a coffee and sort myself out, and I'll tell you all about it.
So, happy April Fool's Day. No jokes here. Not yet, I don't think. But the clocks have changed, so we're trying to get used to being up a little bit later than we thought, if that makes sense. So the days seem to be absolutely flying. I'm going to have to put my sunglasses on because it's bright for a change. Just a little bit of news. Since we came back from Weymouth, it's been, oh gosh, one thing after another. We had a terrible, terrible journey home. The weather was so bad. The rain was so heavy that we couldn't see the markings on the road. And with my glasses on, everything looked as if we were in a tunnel. So it was absolutely awful. So poor Steve did all the driving, and it really took it out of him. And we didn't really notice, but he's been slightly off colour for a while. But this sort of really got to him, and I think he went a little bit downhill. And we realised that he's actually got quite high blood pressure. But I'll come back to him in a minute, because the first series of events was that the dogs go to stay with a lovely chap who lives in Benoy, which is a few villages along. And we went and picked them up. And he said that Morse had a bit of an upset tummy, so we thought, oh no. So anyway, that night I woke up to hearing sort of whining and whinging in the kitchen, and I came down at sort of 3:15 in the morning and let him out, and he had a very upset tummy, but luckily he woke me up, so that was good. Anyway, so for the next few days the same thing happened, or the next day the same thing happened, and so I got in contact with the vet, who my lovely friend Tiffany, who I think I've spoken about a few times, introduced me to. He's a retired vet who helps people out who have got rescue animals, and he helped us out when we first got Bright, if you remember. So he took poor old Morse over there. He gave him an injection. He actually gave me another injection to give him the following day. I mean, can you imagine an English vet doing that? And some tablets. And within 2 days, he was absolutely fine and back on his food. Although I was cooking them both of them rice and chicken. So yes, managed to give him the injection. With my previous life looking after horses, I've injected animals lots of times, so I wasn't scared of doing that. So he was absolutely fine. So poor old chap, he couldn't walk at one stage, and we were really worried. But apparently it's the anxiety that they go through. So we don't know what happened or where he picked this, what he ate, if anything. Then the following morning we came down and Bright couldn't get out of her bed. And I just thought, oh no, but there was no evidence of any mess or anything. So I called the vet again and I said, oh, I'm so sorry, but I think Bright's come down with the same thing. He said, just bring her over, which is so convenient. So went over, and he said, no, she's not got the same thing, but she's very stiff in her back, and I think she's pulled a muscle. And so we sort of thought, oh no. So he gave her an injection and some paracetamol, and anyway, she's been absolutely fine. So that was the sort of third thing. Then on Saturday evening, I'd done cooked not a stir fry, I can't remember what I cooked. It was a chicken casserole, and I thought, oh, we'll have jacket potatoes, and I'll do some really crunchy jacket potatoes. So I was just chewing on a bit of jacket potato skin, and my tooth broke. I couldn't believe it, and I just thought, oh no. And it's the same tooth as this one up here that I cracked when I went to Australia 5 years ago. And it was they sort of temporarily fixed it, but it had lasted 5 years. But this was the other side of the tooth had come off, and it didn't hurt, luckily. And of course, this was a long weekend, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to see anyone until the Monday. Haven't got a dentist here. We haven't sorted that out yet. I managed to find a urgent dentist, the dentiste d'urgence in Limoges, and I absolutely hate the dentist. I'm such a scaredy cat. I really don't like going. Anyway, he was very nice. He spoke very, very good English. He'd lived in America most of his life, I think. But the chap who actually did the work on my tooth didn't speak any English at all, and he sat behind me the whole time, so I didn't even see him. It was really quite nerve-wracking. But they just had a look, and he said, oh, it needs a crown. You are going to have to get your dentist to put a crown on, but we can fix it temporarily. So they fixed it absolutely painlessly. But now, so I've got to find myself a dentist, and it's so hard. And the trouble is, and I know it's awful, but I want an English-speaking dentist, or somebody who speaks a bit of English, because it's so important to try and get over your point. And my French is not nearly good enough, so it would help if somebody spoke a bit of English. So I'm still looking, but apparently this is going to last for 6 months or so. So I should be all right, but not looking forward to that. So apart from that, the weather has been absolutely awful. We've had 1 or 2 days where I think I've filmed in the garden like I did this morning. But it's been torrential rain, and we've had terrible flooding. We're quite lucky where we are here because we're up a slight hill, so there's no real flooding here. But in Bellac, in Ledora, in Morillon, there's been some terrible flooding, and serious flooding, and people are in serious trouble. So it's been horrendous. But I understand that England has had torrential rain too, and Australia as well, so it's global warming. So back to Steve. Yes, he's not been well at all. We did eventually get him to go to the doctor, and so he's been put on some blood pressure pills, and he's had to take his blood pressure every day, twice a day, and the doctor said that he's got to keep taking these tablets until his blood pressure stays low for a week. So we all know Steve, he won't stop doing things, so it's been quite hard on him not to do things, hence no renovation. So he's been playing golf, which apparently he's allowed to do, but he's had a terrible headache yesterday. I was so worried. He had a terrible headache yesterday, but that's all right today. So he's off the alcohol, off tea and coffee. He's drinking cranberry juice, which apparently is very good for you. So poor chap, he's not enjoying life very much at the moment. But hopefully he will be better soon. So let's all wish him luck for that. So the other things I've been doing this week, again, I went to see Tiffany. We always have a good old chinwag, have a good old moan about the world. But she actually invited me over when some ladies from her village were going around, and they are French. And so we had a really good session of just speaking in French. And as you know, we were having lessons, but it's very slow going. We're not really conversing as much French as we ought to. We're getting better. I know I keep saying we're getting better. But I was able to understand quite a lot of what these ladies were saying. But once you know the context, you can then sort of, guess what people are saying. And so, yeah, it's quite good. But you end up saying, oh, superbe, and oh, très bien all the time. And I've got to think of some more words to say. But it was great fun. And then they, excuse my nose, asked us to go and meet them the following day, where they play games in the village hall. Oh dear, I'm going to sneeze. I do apologise. I'll try and cut that bit out. So we went to the village hall in Benoit again, and it was quite hilarious because there were all these slightly older people playing cards and board games and things, and it's like just being thrown in at the deep end. No one really spoke any English, which is great, which is a really good thing. And so we started to play this game, which is called Sky Joe. I'm not sure how you pronounce that in French, but so that was hilarious that it got my name in it. And they were teaching us how to play, so it was quite good because they were saying numbers, and they were saying just things to do with playing a card game, like turn it over or place it here. And so by the end of the session, we knew exactly what they were saying, and it was really good fun. So I'm hoping we're going to be doing that again. But yeah, so that's about it. That's the roundup for the moment. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that Steve is okay. I haven't seen him this poorly for a while, so it's a bit worrying. But he seems a lot better today, so I just have to keep an eye on him. So that's my news, and we'll see you soon.
The leaves have sprouted on the willow. It still reminds me of my rather unruly hair, but it's my favourite tree in the garden. Morse and I thought that the patio could do with a bit of tidying. So I cleared the weeds from under the table and raked all around. It certainly looks a little tidier now, and I hope it'll be warm enough soon to sit out. We were hoping to get this patch of land cleared before it got too overgrown again. But with the ground being so wet, the digger would just make much too much mess. We have a plan for another outside eating or sitting area just behind the pool, with billowing fancy curtains and a Moroccan feel. Perhaps some more tomates on the floor and an old wood-burning stove. Let us know what you think. This is the extra fencing we put up to stop Bright escaping. The little Houdini escaped the very next day. We're going to have to put a tracker on her, I think. So with plants sprouting here and there, and the sun dodging the heavy rain clouds, it's been a calm end to a frantic 2 weeks. Even the buds on the fig tree have popped out to say hello. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you soon. À bientôt!